gyno. They said I didn't have an overactive bladder,
Mhm.
but there is still leakage. How can I prevent that?
First of all, when we think about leakage, we need to define what we mean by leakage. And so what I mean by, or I should say what we mean by the types of leakage. So this person mentioned overactive bladder. They mentioned that they went to the gyno, they did the test, they said, hey, you're fine, you don't have this issue, but they're still struggling with leakage. First things first, let's talk about something called stress incontinence. It's really called stress urinary incontinence, or SUI is the acronym. And this is when there's too much stress, right? So too much force, too much intra-abdominal pressure, just way too much happening in the body that the pelvic floor muscles cannot withstand and control the flow of urine. So stress urinary incontinence refers to when we sneeze, when we laugh, when we gag, when we jump, run, etc. Anything that's putting so much force on the pelvic floor and the urethra can't handle it and the pelvic floor muscles cannot stop the flow of urine, that is called stress urinary incontinence. And there is many different ways that we can successfully treat stress urinary incontinence, whether through physical therapy or through other interventions, right, that doctors can help us with as well. And when we think about the next main form of incontinence, that is totally different, and it is called urge urinary incontinence. Has anyone ever had to pee really bad, and then when you walked into the bathroom, or when you were pulling down your pants, or let's say you even got to your front door and you put the key in the door, and it just made it so much worse and you had
Me.
you okay. All right, exactly. So that right there is a form of urgency. And so urge urinary incontinence is when we couple the strong overwhelming urge with literally peeing, like it's actually peeing. That is when we have incontinence. That is what classifies as urge urinary incontinence. And so that right there, those are the two main types of incontinence that we can talk about. Last main type of incontinence is something called mixed urinary incontinence, or mixed incontinence. And this is essentially when you're dealing with both. You're having stress incontinence and you're having urge incontinence. There we go. And so, yes, you can definitely have both of those. And so, to answer this person's question, I would be curious on what type of leakage they're having, and then also, again, when is it occurring? What's the precipitating factors? What's causing it to be worse? And then from there, we could create, a rehab program to actually address it.